everybody, Backyard Bullion here, coming to you from a very grey and overcast, horrible morning here in the UK. Apologies, I am very sleepy and tired as I've been up watching the US presidential election all night, and it's been a fascinating night, really amazing night to watch. And I remember being in America in 2008 when Obama was running for president, and the way that America engages with politics is fascinating and very different to what we have here in the UK. So it was really interesting to watch last night, and it was very obvious early on that it was going to be a tight race. And I think if it was going to be a tight race, it was always going to favour Donald Trump, and it has. So Donald Trump is now the president-elect of the United States, and I wanted to make a video just to talk about the implications that's got for me in terms of my investment in precious metals. What this video is not is a endorsement of a particular candidate. I think the time has passed for that. Certainly from an outsider, I'm not a US citizen, so I didn't have a vote in the election. But if I did, I personally wouldn't have voted for either candidate, and I think it's quite amazing that the US couldn't come up with other candidates which were perhaps a little bit more appealing to various members of the public. So, that's quite an interesting turn in its own right. But certainly from my perspective, there was no favoured candidate. But what was very evident is that Donald Trump was very much the outsider, and he was not tipped to be the winner. And, the polls were wrong, and the establishment was wrong, his own party was wrong. So it's going to be a very interesting couple of days, weeks, months and years ahead of us, I think, in what's going to come up. There's certainly been a lot of changes in the US in terms of the way the country is at the moment. I think it's fairly divided, and it's going to be quite divided and polarised coming in the next couple of days, weeks and months. So that's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on. But to precious metals then. So what does this have to do, what does this little election have to do with precious metals for me as a little stacker investor over here in the UK? Well, in my opinion, it has in some ways quite a lot to do with it, but also really not a lot at all. So I thought I'd just go into kind of both sides of the argument. One thing I think it's going to have no impact whatsoever is my mid long-term goals. We're talking 10, 20 plus years investment in precious metals. They were never going to be influenced by an election, and these are just investments in long-term preservation of wealth. Gold, silver are safe havens for that kind of thing, and I do think that over the next 20 years, regardless of Donald Trump being president or not, or even Hillary Clinton being president or not, gold and silver will do fine. So that's not changed for me at all. Short term, the only impact I can really see it having is if there's so much uncertainty in the markets, which there seems to be. Short term, silver and gold prices will go up, which will mean it might be more difficult to get good deals on silver and gold. And for me pouring my own stuff, it might mean that I might have to cut back on what I can pour and how much I can pour. But we'll see. That's still all up in the air. It's still very early days. But I'm still picking up good pieces of silver. This 500 gram bar I got off eBay at less than spot. I had some discount codes as well as some cash back, and this was a very close to spot offer, and then with all of the kickbacks it came in under spot, so really happy with that. It's just a giant refined bar which is one day going to get melted down and made into some backyard bullion, probably ripple rounds, because I like those. So on those long-term goals, what's that really changing? Not a great deal. I think the markets, they reacted throughout the night in Asia. There was a lot of rush for the yen as a safe haven currency, and there was quite a few dips in the Asian markets. And when the FTSE 100 opened in the UK, it dropped nearly 1.5%, but it's now actually above where it started, which is fascinating, as this whole result kind of has this feel of a Brexit type result. And we all saw what happened after Brexit with the gold and silver prices. That spiked, but also with the markets, they dropped, but then they recovered after a couple of weeks. So it's interesting that maybe the markets haven't dropped quite as much as we thought. So the next big thing that's important for me is the value of the dollar versus the value of the pound, and also the pound versus the euro. So generally the strength or weakness of the pound and the dollar. And I'd be surprised if the dollar didn't weaken in the morning when the American market truly gets underway. It has started to shift slightly in favour of the pound already, but I think there'll be a slightly more dramatic change over the next couple of days, which will be really good for us in the UK because it does mean that it's more favourable for us to buy gold and silver. So I think that might be really the only major change for me in the coming weeks and months. I don't think I'm going to drastically increase the amount I'm spending on investing in silver and gold, but it will mean that there will be potentially more beneficial deals for me to find, but it's all relative to the gold and silver price. We have seen them go up since the election results became clear, but not in the same way that we did post-Brexit. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. If prices stay steady as they are now, and the dollar drops and the pound strengthens, it could become quite a good time to buy precious metals for us here in the UK. In terms of what I'm going to buy, is it gold or silver? I think I'm still going to lean towards silver as the heavy percentage version of my stack. The silver to gold ratio still at the moment is, I think, in favour of silver, so I think that's pretty much the long-term side of things. And I think I'll probably be only buying one of two things, either stuff like this, which is very close to spot, or I'll be buying numismatic stuff. These are some of the sort of lower-end numismatics I bought recently, the Isle of Man Angel or the British Virgin Island Pegasus. But things also like the Sovereign, Proof Sovereign. And this is going to feature in a kind of review video in the next couple of days, so make sure, if you want to watch that, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and you can have a look at that in a couple of days. So I think that's the only real major change perhaps that will come. I'll be buying one of the two extremes, perhaps not just the middle of the road bullion coins as much. But ultimately, it feels very much like Brexit. The world is probably in a bit of a shock right now. There is obviously all of this uncertainty, as there was post-Brexit, but as Brexit proved, the world keeps turning, things keep happening, people keep going to work. In my zombie-like state, I popped out to get a nice croissant for breakfast this morning at a local shop, and people were off to work. I'm still working, people are off to school with the kids. The world keeps turning, and it will still keep turning for everybody. So, there will be a lot of people who are in a sort of deep state of shock, denial, looking for answers, and I can relate to that because the Brexit vote for me was very much like that, but I think it's hardened me to this kind of shock result now, to the extent where it's just kind of cautious optimism about the future and see what comes of it. That's all that can really be done. If each of us could do something to change the world, then the world would be an incredibly different place. So at the moment we can just sit, watch, observe, and go forward from there. So let me know your thoughts though. I think that's ultimately, it'd be good to get people's opinions from both this side of the pond and in America. Let me know. What I want though is, don't put comments about either candidate. I think what we should try and do, if people are going to comment on this video, I'd like you to comment on what your thoughts are on the precious metal market and what your thoughts are in terms of the implications for you as a collector, as a stacker, as an investor. There's going to be all over various social medias Trump bashing, Clinton bashing, all of these types of things, and I think it's probably better just for this video to keep it on the subject of precious metal investing. But anyway, look, that's what it is. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor, so anything I've said in here, you guys just need to take with a pinch of salt and make your own minds up. Otherwise, I just want to say thank you very much for listening to me waffle on about this stuff. And if you like this video, make sure you click the subscribe button and the like button. Share, like, comment and subscribe for more.